Welcome to another episode of Voices. My name is Augustine Ambe, and you are?
Rogers Akumbo.
Rogers, I want to start this show by stating what we do on this show. What we do on this show is we state facts, we add our analysis to the facts as we see them, and then we pass on that information to our audience. And we expect our audience to take that information and process it also, and then act on it. Now, this week, there have been a lot of things that have been happening in the territory. I think the first that I want us to touch on is, Issa Jerome can never get off the news. And the unfortunate thing about him being on the news is that he does not go on there to pass on information, but to make news. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he was on this BBC show where, looking at my notes, he made certain claims. I want to see what you say about them. When these people come out and say that when they come out and talk of terrorists, they are calling every single Ambazonian terrorist. Because, like it was demonstrated on September 22nd and on October 1, all Ambazonians, both in the territory and in the diaspora, they want their freedom. Because this thing is not some conspiracy like they want to make it sound like. It's not some small group trying to secede from La Republique, as they say. Maybe there are people from La Republique who want to secede from their republic. The people of Ambazonia together do not want to be part of La Republique. They do not want to be part of the French Empire in Africa. And so when these people come out and they say they are terrorists, they're telling a lie. And so Jerome goes to the BBC, and I know that the BBC interviewer did follow up with him on the same thing that I'm going to be following. So he says that the people of Ambazonia are terrorists because they're killing police, they're killing gendarmes, they're burning schools. They have been given everything that they've been asking for, and all they want now is to break the nation, and that shall never take place. That was basically his message. Now, do you agree with his message?
Well, I don't, and you have clearly stated that Issa Jerome, when he goes behind a microphone or in front of a TV camera, he always makes news, and I think he himself has said it. He has confirmed that
he makes news.
He has confirmed that he works for the government and he is a mouthpiece of the government, and he does not believe in some of those things that he says, because according to him, those things are just presented to him on his table and he has to read them, so he doesn't believe it. I think one of our comrades that called him over the phone called him out on that you as a human being, you don't even have a brain that you can look at some of these things that you have been asked to say and tell and ask yourself if they are true or not. So he himself doesn't believe what he's saying. And we have tried on this show to establish our people who a terrorist is. Right? A terrorist is somebody that comes into a community where people are living peacefully and creates mayhem, puts fear into the people so that the people cannot live like decent human beings, kills innocent people, women, children, rape them. So it creates an atmosphere of fear in the people so that the people cannot live in peace. Look at the group like Boko Haram in northern Nigeria, where they operate. What do? The local community, they cannot live in peace. Look at ISIS.
They kidnap girls, they take them into the bushes.
Exactly. So you live in such a condition that your safety, that your safety is not guaranteed.
But I think you should really stop there and compare La Republique, what La Republique is doing to Ambazonians, what Boko Haram is doing in the villages. Because
that is where I'm going.
I think you should stop there and make that comparison before you continue. Because what they do is Boko Haram comes and kidnaps people and take them into the bushes. They don't deal with the system within the community. Mm-hmm. They kill some, they rape, they burn villages, they burn schools, they kidnap girls. La Republique comes into Ambazonia. What do? They burn schools. We've shown this thing on video. Yeah. They take people, rub them in the mud, kidnap some, and take them across the border, and cause mayhem in that community.
Yes, you can go to to you can go to Kumbu and look at all the destruction that they did on October 1st, right? They destroy property, they burn motorbikes, they rape children, they shoot little children in the house, they shoot old mothers, they shoot people from helicopter airships. That is terror. You instill terror in the community. You break into people's houses at 5 a.m. in the morning and extort money for them. That is what terrorists do.
You stop them on the street and you make them walk on their knees.
Make them walk on their knees.
Ask them to roll in mud.
Yes, that is what terrorists do, to instill fear in the people. So, when Chiroma sits there and describes people as terrorists, he's actually describing his government, because that is what his government does to the peace-loving people of Ambazonia. And that is what they have been doing systematically for the past 56 years. They look at every opportunity to shoot us. They say they have passed laws for people to protest. People can gather and protest the government and protest for their rights. But when you do that, they shoot you. And you can look. There was a certain group of La Republique citizens that went out and claimed that they were teachers who had not been paid. And they were protesting. They went to the ministry. They were invited into the conference room. They sat on the table. They gave them soft drinks. They gave them chewables, and they were eating. And the minister came out and tried to talk to them and told them that that is how they are going to look at what happens with their problem, what is the problem there. That is how the Republic treats its citizens when they protest. When it's us, when we protest, you get gunships. You get military men with orders to shoot. Because why? They are out to terrorize us. So those are the terrorists that Issa Chiroma is talking about. He is talking about his government terrorizing the people of Ambazonia. He is not talking about Ambazonians, because we don't terrorize people. We are asking for our right to self-determination, and we have asked for those rights peacefully. We have demonstrated to the world that we are a peace-loving people. We went out on the 22nd of September, on October 1st, with peace plans. And how many people did we lose? We lost so many were maimed, so many were raped, so many were dragged to Yaoundé, kidnapped and taken to Yaoundé for ransom. So many went into the bushes, and so many are in exile because they are running away from terror.
Well, I want to say something which you said and is correct, but I think people should have the history of that. When you say in La Republique they allow their own citizens to march, they only allow them to march because what they are trying to do to us, they've already done to them, and they've been pacified. Because what the French really do in Africa, they go and intimidate these populations all over Africa, militarize the place, give them appointed governments, and put these terror agents, and they terrorize them, and the people of La Republique have learned to live with that. I think the biggest problem they are facing in Ambazonia is that we came we were handed over to them as a free people who elected their own government, who had their local governments and then had their national governments, and everybody was elected. It's a democratic system that had a free enterprise economy, and so when they came in, their goal was to destroy that. And they haven't been able to destroy that for the past 57 years. And the reason they haven't been able to destroy is because once a human mind has stretched and has gained more knowledge, it is hard to bring it back and make it become a slave. And that is really the problem they've been having. And the only way so basically what I'm saying is that when we were free people, they came in, they gave us appointed governors, appointed mayors, have gendarmes on our street that don't speak our language. They destroyed our schools, destroy our medical systems, and we've been trying to see how we can accommodate for 57 years, and we had enough. And after that enough, all we said is that, come, let's renegotiate and see how we can live together. And all they've done is bring mayhem to us since then.
Yeah, and so what I'm trying to do is to juxtapose, because Chiroma describes us as part of their territory. So I'm trying to juxtapose the treatment of those two peoples within that context that he describes, and describes some of the things that are happening as terrorist acts. When they happen to us, when Civism was killed, and so many others that have been killed by the forces of La Republique, he went on Equinox TV and was surprised that anybody was talking about killings, because those people that died were not human beings, right? He was surprised that that guy was asking him that people were killed.
Did you hear him say that nobody has been killed?
Yes. So because those people that have been killed, so I want people to look at it in that context, that we are thinking, for example, that okay, let us go with the argument that Shuma is making and try to juxtapose these things and look at it. So it is very clear that he himself does not really believe what he is saying.
Yeah, they don't think we are human beings.
They don't think we are human beings.
Yeah.
So that is why when the killing happens in our area, it doesn't matter. The people, the children who have been killed, the woman who was pregnant and was not allowed to go to the hospital who died, it doesn't matter. The people who were whisked away from hospitals receiving treatment and we don't know where they are, it doesn't matter. But when it happens in La Republique, that is why I was talking about that their so-called protests, because it looks like it was a government-organized protest. And you can look at the way those two situations were handled.
Yeah, it was a government-organized protest in order to diminish ours.
Exactly.
And in order to stage
and
say, oh, see how we treat people who protest.
Yes.
So, and so it's a fraudulent government, and so they will always come up with these schemes to undermine legitimate concerns of the people of Ambazonia.
And that makes the argument for us.
Yes.
That makes our argument. That makes the argument for those who are telling us that we can sit and negotiate and be part of these people. They just showed you in that clip that we are talking about how they would treat their own citizens and how they would treat us. So for those of you like John Frundi, Bogbala, Dr. Munzu,
don't jump. You jumping. You're going too far. Don't because that's a topic that needs to be treated.
Well, I don't know, but I'm just making a point.
Yes.
At this point, that for those of us who are thinking like that, this is how these people want to treat their citizens, and this is how they want to treat us.
Okay, so when I listen to Chiroma, right, apart from what we've just said, I made some points. I want to hear what you think about them. I say we disagree with Chiroma. Obviously, I mean, I don't. Even the journalists did not agree with him. You know what I'm saying? But I want to put this on record. So the first thing, which this thing started with lawyer Harmony Bogba asking the government of La Republique to show us the Act of Union, because what the people of Ambazonia is claiming is that there was a fraudulent by colonialists where we sat and they just asked the people next door who are controlled by the French. So the people of La Republique are delegated by the French to come and take over our territory and manage on their behalf. And they came in and there's no Act of Union. So that's what Bob Guy was saying, show us the Act of Union, because we have taken this for such a long time, trying to live with them as African brothers, and we didn't, and it's been one takeaway from us until obviously it crashed the lawyers. And the lawyers say, show us the Act of Union. That's where this started. So while this man is saying that we're terrorists, I wanted to let him know that no, we were sitting in our land and you came in, okay? You came in, we did not invite you. You don't have an Act of Union. It is a colonization, not a union. It's an imposition from abroad, not a negotiated cohabitation. It is exploitation, not anything else. It is force. Force is the only answer they have for our concerns. A return to legality is the only solution for the people of Ambazonia. What do you say about all these, Pa?
Well, it is true that
that is my response to Chiroma, that this is what we are facing.
Well, I think he told the BBC journalist that the government has given everything that we want. So we don't know what everything that we want is. I think if you look, Mancho BBC was in court yesterday. So there are Penn and all the other people who are still being held in prison for no crime, right? The children, the schools that were closed, or the teachers have not been withdrawn. So schools are still not going. Their forces are still in our territory. They have not withdrawn their forces. They have deliberately refused to sit down and discuss the problems that were raised. I am explaining these things just in the context of what he believes or what he defines as what were the demands that were tabled in 2016, in November of 2016. If he is telling the journalists that those things have been addressed, what I am listing to you, based on his own analysis, is that it is not true.
Yeah.
None of those things have been addressed, so he is lying.
But let me say how they have addressed it. The lawyers asked for an act of union to be shown. What La Republique has done, it has created branches of what they call Anglo-Saxon systems in their legal system, in their schools, right? That's what they've done. So that's a response. They haven't shown the act of union. What they've done, they say, oh, we're going to create a branch of English speaking in the Supreme Court and also in some of their schools.
That is in response to the lawyers, to their judges in our courts. The act of union that they are asked, that the lawyers were asking for, their response to that is they don't need to show us an act of union because we are their part of German Cameroon that they went and got.
Yes,
back.
we are part of their German Cameroon.
So they don't need to show an act of. So to that part, they don't even want to go there because they think that we belong to them. We were part of them. They lost us and they went and got us back. So the act of union thing has basically been ignored.
But just hold your thought about that because let's come back to it. But I just want to clarify that there. When the lawyers say show us an act of union, they did not respond to that. What they instead did was go and create branches that open part of their schools to have something that is English. And I can tell you one thing: the people who will go there will probably not be Southern, will not be Ambazonians. So they did not respond to that. They did not respond, and they will never respond to that because they stole the territory. They are colonialists who came in, and they're using force. In terms of the schools, their solution was that they're going to bring in bilingual teachers. Okay, so when he says they have responded, they really haven't, because what they've done is they impose what they think. They refuse to negotiate with us because they believe what l'État c'est nous, l'État c'est Pobia, l'État c'est les francophones, l'État c'est la République. And so we're just supposed to take from them. You know what I'm saying? They refuse to have a negotiation or to speak with us. They just want to impose. So no, they haven't. But I think we've given them enough time. We've been answering this all the time. But I want to go back to the thing that you talked about, them saying that our history began with German Cameroon. Dr. Anyangwe has spent a lot of time saying that the first colonialists who took us over were the British in 1946. And that the Germans did not even start taking over our territory until late in German occupation of La Republique. And so they did not even stay a long time in our territory. In fact, by 1907, that's when they reached the Bafu people to even have an agreement that will take you over. 1907. You know what I'm saying? And so this whole false argument, you see, thieves always have to find something to hang on to. So that is false, and they have really educated their citizens, and their citizens believe in that. And so that is all false. All false. And another thing is that the German Empire in Africa was not owned by La Republique. And when that German Empire was destroyed and the territories let loose, La Republique developed out of that, not speaking German, but speaking French. Northern Nigeria, part of Nigeria developed from that. Now they speak English. Southern Cameroon came out of that. We speak English. Tanzania and the other parts, Togo, they all developed into other. Those were all abolished, and those were territories that were not existing anymore. So for anybody to go back and say, oh, we're part of a German territory, you are not German. The German lost that. You were Douala, you were Bassa, you were Babanki, I was Bafut, and we all live as sovereign nations. The person who came and tried to coordinate us together was destroyed, and he was gone. We went back to being who we are, and unfortunately for us, we had new colonial masters who came and took us and created new territories with new systems. So to come back and claim some ancient history and say, "Oh, you part of that." That's just thievery. And the people of Ambazonia has rejected that. The question is, what would you do? So what can they do? What they can do, Pa, is that Paul Biya recently came back. In fact, 2 days ago, came back from Abidjan, where they were holding another meeting. Which part? I mean, the things that are happening in Africa are just so confusing, and you wonder why the people of Africa are not developing when they have so many resources. Maybe before we talk about Paul Biya coming, what was he doing in Ivory Coast?
I heard they had some kind of African Union, European Union summit on the youths of Africa.
Yes,
something like that.
And what was the question? What's the problem of the youth?
Well, I think it is unemployment. I don't know what I have not really read what it is, but the surprising thing there is, here's an 83-year-old, 85-year-old, or 100-year-old guy going to a summit to talk about the youth in his own country. And I was listening to a piece by one of the Republique musicians today, singing and talking about the fact that the youth are traveling to Libya to be enslaved, while the president of the Senate, Nyadji, somebody came out with a list of the ages of all these guys. Simon Achiachu, how old is he? Kaweyege Jibril, how old is he? Nyadji, Philomen Yang, the other guy. Somebody came up with those lists. None of those guys are in their 60s.
Yes, but you see, that musician captured exactly why there is that. First of all, the Europeans don't care whether African youth have jobs or not. The reason why Europeans care is because these African youths have been streaming into their country, and they don't know how to deal with it. So they have been, I think this is the third summit that they're having, and they've been trying to see how they can work with African governments to stop these youths from coming. Europeans come down to Africa, destroy Africa, make it ungovernable, put terrorists there to be their governments, and so they are not creating any opportunities or developing these countries. And so these youths, because they are human beings, they're looking for opportunities. And do you know what is happening in Libya, where these kids go there and get trapped into slavery? I saw one where they actually hung this Nigerian who they roasted like pig. Did you see that picture? Mm-hmm. So and I understand that it's the European paying the Libyan government, trying to prevent them from allowing access to Europe. You know what I'm saying? So these Europeans go down to Africa, they create mayhem, put terrorists like Paul Biya and all these francophone governments that they've planted around the place, and they cannot develop the society. Here are human beings developing, looking for more opportunities in the world, and they can get them. And then they go and hold all these summits, like you say, by old men who were part of the past, were part of the people who created the problem, and they're trying to get them to be part of the solution. Can that really work?
It cannot work.
So Paul Biya leaves that and then comes back, and the people of Ambazonia trying to create solutions so that their citizens don't fall into the same trap. What does he do? He declares war, right?
Je pense que les choses sont désormais parfaitement claires pour tout le monde. Le Cameroun est victime des attaques à répétition d'une bande de terroristes se réclamant d'un mouvement sécessionniste. Face à ces actes d'agression, je tiens à rassurer le peuple camerounais que toutes les dispositions sont prises pour mettre hors d'état de nuire ces criminels et faire en sorte que la paix et la sécurité soient sauvegardées sur toute l'étendue du territoire national. Je vous remercie.
And that is the first time he has actually said something about this crisis. So when Suividum and all the other people died, he never said anything. He never opened. Those people that died were not human beings. Now that they claim that their soldiers are dying, however they died, he comes out and says how he is going to do everything to protect the territorial integrity. That is what he's talking about, the territorial integrity of his country. Well, nobody is questioning the territorial integrity of the Republique, but the Ambazonia has decided that it's going to be free.
Yes. Let me say, there's a thing which says that you judge a character by what he says. Let me take that back. The different ways of communication. Okay, you can communicate with your body language. You can communicate with your voice. Okay. I was watching Paul Biya. There are a few things that he did that surprised me. First of all, he was reading a statement. It wasn't coming from the heart, and then I was wondering who wrote that statement for him to read.
His master in Côte d'Ivoire, where they were.
Yeah, so the French probably wrote that statement for him in Côte d'Ivoire. Because if you are a president and you come back and you really mean what you're saying, you speak from the heart. This man was reading the thing, and he looked like he was forced to read it.
He was miserable.
He looked very miserable reading that statement. He made a statement for the first time about our struggle. And he was making it because he said that they killed police officers. It's the same thing that the French ambassador was talking about, right?
That's right.
So you see, all they're really trying to do is, look, you need to come and debate with the people of Ambazonia and tell them, you have to convince them, first of all, why you're in their territory and what you're doing there and what you're going to do to make their lives better. Because they have, for 57 years, decided that you are illegal in their land. They never invited you, and right now they want to leave, and you're declaring war on them. And all these statements they're looking for a way to declare war.
Yes.
Because they want to come now and cause genocide in our territory on the people who are not armed, on the people who have said nothing but profess peacefully, publicly and otherwise, and so all they've been trying to do is look for ways to. So that was a declaration of war.
Yes,
but it's a war that's been going on since 1961.
Yes.
In that interview, strangely, Mr. Biya practically declared war on our people. Mr. Biya said that finally the people of the world have come to realize that Cameroon is under attack. It is interesting that Mr. Biya is calling the world's attention today, 12 months into a crisis he created and into a crisis he has poorly managed. Mr. Biya is responding because 10 people of his group are supposed to have been killed. I say supposed to have been killed because it is proof now that we don't even know how many people have been killed. Mr. Biya's team have been known to dress corpses in military attire and declare them having been killed by other people. But that's not the point. Mr. Biya is calling on the world to come and see that his country is under attack, in spite of the fact that in the last year, Mr. Biya, he has ordered people to kill hundreds of Ambazonians. He has ordered people to maim our people in their hundreds. He has locked thousands of our people in his jails. Our daughters have been raped from universities. Some have simply disappeared. Mr. Biya has not uttered a single statement in all these atrocities because he ordered them. And his Minister of Communications, who worships him like a god, has gone out to continue to give us names. He even calls us terrorists. What is a terrorist? What are the actions of a terrorist? A terrorist is a person who goes out and kills people indiscriminately. A terrorist is a person who forces citizens of their nation to leave and go on exile. A terrorist is a person who goes in the dark of the night to maim people, to rape girls and to kill them. If this is a definition of a description of a terrorist, then Mr. Biya, Mr. Issa Chiruma, and all his cohorts are the real terrorists in this crisis.
And crying Issa Chiruma was out there crying again. He was asking where is the Amnesty International, where is the International Crisis Group to come and condemn the acts of the people they call terrorists. Well, you as a government, you as a colonial administrator in that place have to explain to the world how those people died. It is not the responsibility of Amnesty International or International Crisis Group to tell you how those people died. But Amnesty International and International Crisis Group have a duty to call out your abuses, your arbitrary arrests, your detentions without trial, your wanton arrest of the citizens of Ambazonia, your degrading treatment and humiliation of the people as not in conjunction with the international agreements that you people have signed. So you cannot go and begin to ask Amnesty International and International Crisis Group to come out and condemn the killings of your police officers. They might have been killed by you, because you people have done that before, and we have seen that, and we have shown that. So Amnesty International is not going to come out and condemn what you are capable of doing, Mr. Chiruma. So that we just have to put that out there so that people should know.
Yeah, but one of the things that I want to say about Amnesty International and this other group that La Republique wants to ban is that, it doesn't help to tell the story halfway. Because when you come and you blame the Biya government for doing some of these things, you know that the Biya government is a front to the French government, and that the whole of Francophone Africa performs exactly the same. So if you're going to really sit and really educate the world about what's happening in Ambazonia, you need to, or in Francophone Africa, you need to, just like we did in our last show, you need to show that these governments were planted by the French, and that the French are in the background engineering all these things. Like you said, like you rightly said, when Paul Biya came from rushed back from Abidjan, he was coached to do that, and they wrote a statement which he read. You know what I'm saying? There's no, how they were accusing Mugabe for being in power for so many years. Mm-hmm. There's some racism happening between these international organizations where they're protecting certain interests, and therefore not really helping the people of Africa who are really, really, really dealing with a fascist, Nazi-inspired government that the French carried to Africa and they implanted among African people. And so if you talk about, it's like talk about the Vichy government without talking about the Vichy government being planted by the Germans, because that's really what is going on. You know what I'm saying? And so nobody will question Paul Biya for being there for 35 years.
Well, you have to understand that what these groups do, they hold this so-called government to the international commitments they have taken, to the treaties that they have signed. And these groups have to make sure that these governments are living by the letter of the law that they have signed in these international treaties to protect the rights of the citizens that are under their administrative authority setup. So what they do is, if La Republique has signed an agreement with the International Convention on Human Rights that it is going to treat its citizens with dignity, that there's going to be a due process when you arrest people, that people are not going to be detained in inhumane conditions, that people will not be detained for long without trial. Mancho BBC has been in detention for more than getting to a year, and he has not had any trial. So when they have signed these agreements, these international organizations like Amnesty International have a duty to report and to hold these people to those international agreements that they have signed. The other thing that you described might be giving a bigger picture to what is happening or why these people are perpetuating these things. But I think they are doing their job in highlighting the things that these governments are doing to the citizens of their country.
And what I'm saying is that the only reason why Paul Biya keeps doing this and getting away with is because Paul Biya is a front to a power that protects them internationally. Because when Robert Mugabe did not even do anything as worse as Paul Biya is doing, Mugabe was made a pariah in the international community. You know what I'm saying? The only reason why Paul Biya does this thing, and Amnesty International can write those 20 times for 20 years, for 30 years, for 100 years, as long as Paul Biya is a front to the French, nothing happens. And so Paul Biya is there doing the French's dirty job. You know what I'm saying? And so what I'm saying is that the way to be effective is to tell the whole story. Because until you tell the whole story, Paul Biya will keep doing it on behalf of the French. Because when Mugabe did just a little bit on his own behalf, guess what they did? They made him an international pariah. When Gbagbo in Ivory Coast, who was actually representing his people, tried to protect his people, guess what? The French came in, break his country, went and brought Burkinabés and other terrorists from other countries, put them together as a military to go out, they went and kicked him out. And so if we just allow Amnesty International to play that game, it will never be effective. They will keep doing the same thing on us and we'll never get any results, because Paul Biya has a big brother, a protector who protects him abroad. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. And so Amnesty International is not helping us by saying, oh, Paul Biya. No, the story does not end with Paul Biya. The story ends with the French. And those are the people who have engineered a whole continent. And you know, until the continent of Africa is freed of the French, because the French are the last colonialists in Africa, until the continent of Africa is freed of the French, a whole group of Africans will never be free. Do you agree with that?
That is true.
Because even at the AU, Paul Biya goes there not to speak on behalf of Africans.
He has never been there.
There you go. You know what I'm saying? So Amnesty International, if they need to be effective, they need to tell the whole story. Just telling what is, if you say, oh, A took this and put on B, you should tell who is telling A to take that thing and put on B. Otherwise, you're not telling the story. We can just keep watching that thing play, and it can play forever. If you want to stop it, then tell the whole story, please, so that people know how to stop it and where to put the pressure. That's all I'm saying. Now, do you think Mr. Biya's declaration about terrorists, obviously, is that going to change anything on the ground?
Yeah, he's going to change things on the ground because more of our people are going to be killed. So he's sending his troops. You saw what the Colonial mayor or SDO of Manu wrote.
Yes. Do you have a copy?
I think I have a copy somewhere.
If you don't, I can read it. I have a copy here.
Yes.
And this is coming after Paul Biya said what he said, right?
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. That basically all of this, and it started being orchestrated by the French ambassador after October 1. The French ambassador came out, orchestrated it. Now they pushed Paul Biya to say the same thing. And you know why they're doing this? It's because they've gone in there. They've done some killing, and obviously we're not intimidated, and they're looking for ways to do more of the same thing. So now that you have that part, can you read it?
Well, this is a communique that he put out, and asking people in Akwaya subdivision, Oyumejok subdivision, and Manfred subdivision to evacuate the list of villages in this communique.
Before I go into welcome our guest, I would like to read this communique which was issued from the SDO's office on the 1st day of December 2017, and the communique reads, the senior divisional officer for Manu communicates for the attention of the populations resident in the undermentioned villages, Akwaya subdivision, Bodam, Dadi, Kesham, Baji, Abonado, Beteme, Ebinsi, and Bakem villages. In a Mojok subdivision, Otu, Sanaragati, Nsanakang, Agbokem Jeman, Ndwap, and Esagem. In Mamfe subdivision, Egbeko village, to relocate to safer neighborhoods of their choices in the hours that follow, failure of which they will be treated as accomplices or perpetrators of ongoing criminal occurrences registered on security and defense forces. Businessmen and persons plowing the Manu River are equally advised to immediately suspend their activities till further notice. On a related note, the senior divisional officer officially cautions motorbike riders to strictly observe without provocation the suspension of their circulation from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily, and the communique is signed Mr. Umdo Joseph, SDO for Manu.
You know, and before I say this, let me say this. If you are a government, right, and something is happening within your citizen, there's a crime, let's call it a crime, right? What you do is you apply police force to investigate and find ways to get rid of that evil. But here is what he says. Here's what this colonial minister says. He's asking the people of all these villages to relocate to safer neighborhoods of their choices in the hours that follow, failure of which they will be treated as accomplices or perpetrators of ongoing criminal occurrences registered on security and defense forces. Okay, so it's like in Minneapolis, right? There's a gang, there's a drug dealing gang. Let's use that, right? And instead of the police taking their time investigating, the police can say, all the people of Minneapolis relocate from the Minneapolis. Relocate from Minneapolis. If we still catch you in Minneapolis, it means you're accomplice to this gang. Is that the way to govern the people?
Well,
Isn't that a precursor to genocide? You know what I'm saying? Where do they want these people to go?
He says of their choice. So where would you choose to go that you know that it is safe?
No, you leave your home and then you know what I'm saying? This is like telling the whole of Hennepin and Ramsey County to evacuate because there's some gangs that have killed police. How many were there? How many are supposed to have been killed? 4, right?
So my issue with that is this just shows you why our people don't want to be part of this.
Mr. Biya called on his people in that 3-minute statement. He said they are going to use all arms necessary to be able to fight what he called the terrorists. And we have seen how his military have gone into action. No sooner had Mr. Biya spoken, the generals of his army met in Bafoussam. Later on, they met in Yaoundé. And we now have clear proof that they've given instructions to his senior divisional officer for Manu, Mr. Joseph Umtu, a man who has pulled out a gun and shot people, killing one of them. He's still supposed to be a senior divisional officer. Yesterday, this man sent out a declaration asking people from 16 villages to vacate those villages. We asked Mr. Biya, we asked Mr. We asked Mr. Issa Churuma, where does he expect people from 16 villages to go to? What about the sick? What about the old in those villages? But we now know why he's doing that. Mr. Biya is doing that because he's preparing himself for ethnic cleansing. He wants to go and cleanse those villages in Manu of all the people who are there. But more sinister than that, he has prepared truckloads of ammunition to carry into those villages, to plant those truckloads of ammunition into corners of those villages, and then invite the world press to come and show them that they've discovered ammunition planted there by us. Mr. Biya's plans have been exposed, and we are calling on the international community. This is a genocide alert. We want the international community to stop Mr. Biya on his tracks. He has done this on the 22nd of September. He killed our people. On the 1st of October, he killed our people, and he has been doing so since then. As we speak, over 50,000 of our people are now refugees in neighboring Nigeria. They have been driven from their land by Mr. Paul Biya.
And then this morning, he was on a radio station trying to tell the people that he is withdrawing this communique.
Businessmen and persons plowing the Mangu River are equally advised to immediately suspend their activities till further notice. On the related note, the senior divisional officer officially cautions motorbike riders to strictly observe without provocation the suspension of their circulation from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily. So this is, I'm going to use the same analogy again because people really need to understand what we are fighting and where we. These are people who we never elected. They all speak French. They come from a foreign country. They speak to us in foreign languages. And when there's a little crime, they tell villagers in like Hennepin County or Hennepin and Ramsey to evacuate to wherever you want. If we catch you near your home, you'll be considered a terrorist and we can do whatever we want to you. Mm-hmm. That is the. Now, let me ask you, if you're a youth in that place, what do? You head to Libya, right?
Well,
So update us why he was on the radio. Is he withdrawing this?
Good morning, Mr. Esdio.
Good morning, Father.
And welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and we thank you for taking the initiative to come and talk to the people through Radio Evangelium.
Yes.
So, sir, we received this communique, I must say, late last night, and it has been making a lot of airwaves. And so maybe you enlighten us on this communique and why this measure.
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity that you are giving me to enlighten you on this press release. I would like first of all to contradict this press release and ask you to withdraw press release because we are not there to frighten our population. We would like to reassure them to remain in their villages, but to be very collaborative with the forces of law and order. Forces of law and order are been taking relevant measures to protect the population. We know that in their midst they have wicked persons they have hooligans, they have troublemakers. What we ask them to do is to denounce those troublemakers, is to tell us who is who in the village and who try to perpetrate criminal acts. But we cannot ask them to leave their village. I think that we have a misunderstanding about this press release, and we are there to reassure them that we are taking relevant measures to protect population. Then our population have to cooperate.
So, Mr. Ezio, what you are telling us in clear terms is that we are withdrawing this press release
Yes.
at this very hour, which is 20 minutes
Yes,
past 11
this
a.m.
press release must be withdrawn.
So we are bringing it to the population that this press release, which has been circulating since yesterday, has been officially withdrawn. By the SDF of Manu. So now, these people can do their things freely. They can go about activities.
What they have to do is just to cooperate
with the forces,
of law and order,
and inform when you have strangers, people who can cause trouble in your neighborhood.
Yes.
So listeners, please, you are getting the SDF of Manu, Mr. Umdo Joseph, live on Radio Evangelium at this hour, and you're officially informed that you should not be afraid, you should not feel intimidated, and that the administration is there to protect the people and to enhance the welfare of the people and not to cause disorder or to frighten the people. So by this very act, the SGO has officially come here himself to withdraw this communique which he signed and sent to us. So people have been nurturing fear and people have been asking a lot of questions. Inform your families and friends that everything is calm out here in Manfe. People should not think that we're in a war zone or a chaotic environment. So we thank the SGO so much. Is there anything you want to say, Mr. SGO?
No, I would like just to reassure them again that we are enjoying calm, especially in Manfe city. But we would like also to enjoy calm out of Manfe city. That is why we are been taking relevant measures to secure the entire division. But we cannot do it by frightening the people. I would like to tell them to be quiet, to feel ease in their villages, to remain there, and to cooperate with us, with the forces of law and order.
Okay. So, Mr. SGO, I want to ask a question. Now we are getting to the festive periods. We know that people will be worried. Their security. Maybe you can brief us even a little on the security measures. And I would like to quote an example: the issue of a movement in the night. What are we expecting during this festive period? Are we free to move, or what time should we move and not move?
I think that it is the bikes which are concerned with this measure. Yes. Bike riders are not allowed to circulate as from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. Vehicles are not concerned.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ezio.
Thank you.
That is where we come to the end of this special transmission. We'll be bringing you this transmission over and over again so that you can get the words of the SDO while waiting for another written communique, maybe from your officer. Are we going to have a written communique to see that this one has been
Yes. I think I will send you a writing communique.
Okay.
To contradict this
communique.
communique.
Thank you so much, Mr. SDO, for coming to talk to us. We appreciate this move you have taken. I must remind the listeners that you came here on your own to make this. We were not compelled to come here, and thank you for showing this concern for the people, because many people have been worried. They have been calling us to find out what is happening. As we're here, I was even receiving a call from one mother who was, because she called me early in the morning and I was asking what am I going to do with my children, and I was just sending her a text message, listen to your radio right now.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for your collaboration.
Thank you, sir.
For your support, and I think that you will spray this information to enable our population to become calm.
What you're seeing here, what this document really shows, is the character of the people under who we've been living for 57 years. You know what I'm saying? They do these things, and I think because we are now exposing these things, I think somebody from abroad or somewhere have called him and maybe had the same conversation that we're having now, that These are things that you do under Nazi governments, not in the 21st century. You know what I'm saying? And then now they're withdrawing them. Maybe the French government himself had looked at it and like, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't put it that way. Maybe we should continue to do it covertly. But that is their intention, and I can tell you what, a lot of people are going to have broken bones, and a lot of sons and daughters will be killed based on this, because this is their first instinct, and that's the instinct they'll be following.
And let me read this again so that people can hear. The senior divisional officer for Manu communicates for the attention of the populations resident in the under-mentioned villages.
Name all of them again, Pa. Name all of them again.
I'm not interested in it. I'm just...
You will see that it's thousands of miles, square kilometers.
So,
and you're asking them to go to the nearest to the neighborhood of their choice. Guess what? Guess the only neighborhood of their choice that is safe is in Nigeria.
That is true, and we have said repeatedly, we have lost a lot of our brothers and sisters and children. We don't want to keep taking chances with these people. If you have an opportunity that you can relocate, please do that. If you cannot relocate and you have to stay, okay, we'll be with you in prayers. But if you have an opportunity that you can relocate, please take that opportunity and protect yourselves and your family.
Because the same pressure under which these people in these areas that they're being asked to evacuate from, the same pressure is being faced by everybody else in Ambazonia. So if they go to another neighborhood or another village or another town, it's going to happen there too, because those people are going to react and they're going to do the same thing.
But the problem...
So they have the only safe place is across the border into Nigeria.
And they won't even let you go there.
Yes.
Because now they are blocking all the borders. They are arresting people for trying to flee their torture. So they are telling you to move, but they don't want you to move. Because when you go to move, then they block the borders and then they arrest you for trying to leave.
And then they take you over to La Republique and throw you in a jail.
Yes.
I don't even know whether they have numbers. It seems to me that they just go and put people there and lock them up.
Yes.
You've seen pictures of the people just sit carelessly.
That is what is happening. You ask people to leave, then you turn around and arrest them for trying to leave. So it is very unfortunate. But the world needs to know that is what is happening. And we are doing everything to expose all of these games that they are playing in order to kill our people.
And we are asking the world, how long before the world takes note of this genocide? How long before the United Nations finally comes to ask Mr. Biya to address the root cause of this problem? How long before the Commonwealth calls on Mr. Biya to address this issue? We remind everybody that the right to self-defense is a human right. While we deplore and we distance ourselves to all the killings, including those that Mr. Biya has done on our people, we want to remind the people that a right to self-defense is a right. It's a human right. Our people have been pushed to the wall for 1 year, and we understand their frustration.
And when McCann came to Africa, the kids in Burkina Faso, did you see that video where they were throwing stones? And I think some international organizations covered that and said that was not a welcome that McCann was expecting in Africa. Mm-hmm. So if you want to think deep about this, there's no way you can just end by saying what's happening. You have to think further. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm accusing Amnesty International and these other organizations who think that they just have to come and report that this is what is happening and do not tell the whole story. If you want to tell the whole story. And so as I was reading that, I was just looking at my notes and I thought maybe I should just read this as is. I said, for the last 57 years, and I'm saying that the message of Ambazonia to the French and La Republique, okay? I say, for the last 57 years, you have been crowding us in our own piece of earth God gave us. We do not want trouble. You did not fight us to come into our land. Please do not continue to fight us when we ask you to leave. La Republique, do not be foot soldiers of a colonizer. Work with us to free ourselves and free you eventually. Do not continue to kill us. We do not want to kill you or anyone else. Killing us cannot stop us unless you want to kill all of us. I mean, every single one of us everywhere. And that is not possible. Adolf Hitler, a more superior force, already tried to do that in the world and did not succeed, powerful as he was. If the murders in our land is to make us stop our demands to be allowed to live in our land free of impositions, foreign impositions, and exploitations, I say it will not succeed. Because asking us to stop resisting is asking us to stop being human beings. That is not possible.
Yeah, it is not possible because everybody wants to be free. Everybody wants to have safety in their own homes. Everybody wants their children to be well educated. Everybody wants to be safe in their communities and wherever they go. And as far as we know, we have not been safe for the past 56 years with La Republique. Whether it is hospitals, we don't have hospitals. Roads, people are dying on those roads every day. The people are being harassed. You are not free. You leave from Nkambe to travel to Bamenda. You go through more than 56 checkpoints on the road. People, they harass you. They extort money from you. They beat you up. They arrest your children. They destroy your property. So people are not safe. And what people want in their lives is to be free and to be safe, even if you are poor. So, as long as those are the aspirations of our people and they are bent on it, no matter what La Republique and France does, they will never succeed because they have never succeeded. Up to this point, they thought they had accomplished everything. They were just supposed to be cruising on, and oh my God, they were in for a surprise, right?
Yes, they are, because like I said, they're human beings. And I think the only reason it took this long was because we kept trying certain things, because we expect certain things from them as human beings.
Yes.
So we tried understanding them, then we tried democratizing them, we tried even reasoning with them, even as late as last year, as you just mentioned. The lawyers were still trying to reason with them.
Yeah.
And look at what they're doing to us. But let me say a section of our population that is trying to do something, and I want us to take it in stages. I don't want you to roll on all of it, because I know that you would probably do, because I know you and how you react about this particular subject. I want us to take it one at a time, okay? So let's start with John Frundi having a meeting with Paul Biya, because somebody wrote that Frundi had been in Yaoundé for the past few days meeting, I don't know with whom he was meeting, but meeting with the government of La Republique. I want you to separate that from what's happening in the parliament, because we'll come to it. And as you discuss Frundi, discuss Bala and Monzo coming together and giving that their press release about what you and I will call internal
self-determination.
Internal self-determination. Help us understand what's going on there.
Well, John Frundi meeting with Mr. Biya is something that he has done so often, because that is how Frundi is the one that delivers us to Mr. Biya and to France. So from time to time, as these things are happening, he has to keep that contact to go and be coached on what to come back and do, and then be compensated for it. So he goes, and sometimes I think he plays his cards and tells the people, like the Bamileke people did, if you don't do this, this is what is going to happen. I'm going to come out and probably say this. So he sends his people to go and play these little games and opt his value, so that when he goes to talk to his boss, he can tell his boss that, hey, look, you see, even my own little rats that I'm able to control around, you see, they are acting out of order. You see what they are doing all over the place. So you better behave, because if you don't behave, things might get out of hand. So he goes there and does these negotiations in order to pump himself up and fill his pockets. That's all what he's doing. Then he goes around, and so now he's looking for alliances, because Dr. Munzu is making himself available with his Anglophone Dialogue Forum, and Bala, he was sent on a mission. So they have seen that he is irrelevant. He cannot deliver. So now he has to come through somebody who has been playing the game for all since 1990, when we brought him on the forefront, and then Dr. Munzu. So they need to form this clique, so that then they now, as a people, so Bala, they are looking at Bala that, okay, He has some name recognition. He's known internationally. John Frundi, he is known locally with his political party. And Simon Munzu, he has worked on the UN. He has some credibility. So if John Frundi, Simon Munzu, and Bala, they team up together, they can actually milk La Republique very well. They can say, hey, you see, we are the people that we can deliver these people to you. So if you treat us well and do things the way we are telling you to do, maybe things will happen. So that is the game they are trying to play. They are trying to fill their pockets, they are trying to lie to us, and they think that they can deliver us on the platter of gold to these people. But my people, you people know, you have seen these people on every turn. You have seen what they have done to your lives, to your struggle. They have dismissed you. They have said you don't know anything that you are saying. They know everything that is good for you. But as you said, we are going to take these things one after the other, and we are going to show our people that all of these things, they are lying to you. And we better be sure, because what we have experienced with these people just within the last year tells a lot of what we have experienced for the past 56 years.
Yes. Just to add, Frundi did not march with the people of Ambazonia on September 22nd. I don't believe he marched on October 1st, 2017. I don't think Bala did. I don't think Monzo did. But what you explained is just one side of the thing. You looked at it from the perspective of these three people. I was going to call them three leaders, and I couldn't use the word leader.
No, they are not leaders.
That's what these three people did, and you looked at it from their point of view. But I think La Republique also has something there for themselves, which is why they are not kicking them out. They are not arresting them. They're not terrorizing them. It is because they are propping this up so that it becomes part of the people that they negotiate with, and then go to the international community and say, we negotiated. Mm-hmm. What's your message to them? Because look, if those are the people that La Republique is negotiating with, those are not the people of Ambazonia are following. Those are not the people causing you trouble. Okay? You already had those in your pocket and the trouble came. So it doesn't matter how much you build them up, how much you prop them, how much you give them, they will not deliver the people of Ambazonia. Because, in fact, there's no one person who can deliver the people of Ambazonia.
No.
Because these are people who are sick and tired at an individual level. That is what is driving all of this. Mm-hmm. Right? Can you really say it is Seseko who is telling the people of Ambazonia not to go to school?
Seseko has no power.
Yeah, you know, our people only follow people who share in their pain and suffering. And so if SDF, I was listening to in fact, it's not even now. I've been listening to a lot of people. There was a phone call where somebody was telling Frundi that you ask people not to do business with the French, and then you turn around and you're doing business with the French, right? Mm-hmm. So for a long time, these people have been playing this game.
Frundi insulted him.
Yeah, he insulted him and hung up on him. Mm-hmm. You heard that. Mm-hmm. So basically what La Republique is doing, and they're only doing this because they know they have the backing of the French. Okay? Otherwise, they will try to solve this problem. They will not solve it because for the French, keep playing these games with us is what they want. That way we'll never be stable, we'll never be able to develop, and therefore we'll never be able to challenge them effectively and use our resources to develop ourselves. Mm-hmm. So this game playing continues. So that's my other thing that I wanted to add, that while these leaders, so-called leaders, are doing what they're doing, the government of La Republique have their own reasons. They're doing that, and maybe they're being coached by the French. They say, go and do this, and then put this together, and then we'll go to the international committee and say, here are the leaders, we've negotiated with them. Frundi has a political party, he's in parliament, and here's Monzo, he's a responsible person. Here's Bala. You know, I think Bala went to jail under the umbrella of the consortium. He came out and realized that there was no consortium waiting for him. So he went and formed a human rights group, and that's what he's going on. You heard that, right? Or you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it, and he was in court. You know, I don't even know, like we have said here before, he has just seen that he is irrelevant. Because if Bala really wanted to free the people, he would have stayed in jail.
He would have stayed in jail.
He would have stayed in jail.
And maybe some of these prisoners would have been released by now.
Yes, so they released him, he signed his papers, and he has been doing their bidding, so he can keep doing it. But unfortunately, very soon the people will find out that he cannot deliver. And maybe they will arrest him again for preaching federation, because you never know.
Yeah.
If you can't deliver, it means that you did not meet your own part of the agreement, right? Whatever agreement he signed when he was released. So if you cannot deliver, maybe you'll be going back. So he should be thinking twice.
You talked about the deal in Manthe putting out this communique, and then the following day he goes and withdraw it. Mm-hmm. You said something that was very deep when Bala came out. You said he went to jail because he was preaching federation, right? Mm-hmm. He's preaching federation now, so it was the law. It was against the law then to preach federation, but it's not against the law now.
It is terrorism, because that is what he was charged with.
Yeah, it was terrorism.
Yes. So,
but right now they're paying him to go out and preach terrorism.
Yes. So why is he not being arrested for the same? Because he is still violating the same
law.
Yes, threatening the integrity of the state, as Issa Chiroma Bakari said. So he should be rearrested if he is not working for those people. Have you heard Fontaine say anything?
No.
So he should be rearrested if he is not working for La Republique. If La Republique is honest that Bala is not working for them, then Bala should be rearrested for threatening the territorial integrity of La Republique by saying that we should have internal self-determination.
Yes. Now, so we've discussed Bala, Monzu, and Frundi at an individual level. Now, let's come to the SDF members themselves. First, they start by saying they're not going to go to parliament, right? Mm-hmm. And then they go to parliament and start singing "They Go Kill We Tire." How many people be ya go kill? And I was like, really? First of all, there are two things about that. Mm-hmm. They were singing about that after the people of Ambazonia had already gone past that. Mm-hmm. Because we're singing that last summer. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Oh, we're asking for government to listen to us.
We're asking for government to listen. We've gone past that. Mm-hmm. So these are people who are supposed to be our leaders. They're leading like 20 miles behind.
Not 20 miles, 2 years or 5 years.
So that was very funny that SDF would do that. And guess what? Some people think that is news and is thumbs up. I know last week I was asking you to support them not going to parliament, but when I found them in parliament singing that, it was very funny. and you could see them. They were. It's like they've wanted to sing that song for so long. You saw the way they were dancing, right?
They were dancing.
I found nothing funny there because that's something, like I said, we're doing last summer. So when I looked it looked like an old song that is being sung at a time when it's not appropriate.
Yeah, I spoke to one of my brothers in Canada, and he told, like a lot of people, he told me that the people did it because he called me and said, "Have you seen what SDF is doing in Parliament?" I said, "Yeah, I've seen it." He said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, I don't know." He said, "Well, it is good." I said, "Well, in every cloud,
there's a silver lining, right?"
Silver lining, right?
Yeah.
And the silver lining in this cloud of the SDF in dancing in Parliament, because that is theatrics.
Yes.
That's how I see it.
Yes.
The silver lining is that for the Balas and the Munzus and the Frundis, I don't even want to put Frundi in that category, but somebody like Dr. Simon Munzu, whom I respect so much, the silver lining is for him to see that what he is trying so hard to convince our people that we can sit down and somehow talk to these people and come to some kind of an accepted living condition with these people. They are not interested in it. So by SDF doing what they did in Parliament, and Cavalier Jibril and his other stooges walking out of the Parliament, even the journalists who were supposed to be covering the event,
They fled.
for the people, they left. Because why? This subject, don't mind they tell you it's not taboo. Nobody can discuss it. France have not given them the go ahead to discuss it.
Yes.
It cannot be discussed.
Yes.
So the silver lining in that theatrics was that it showed the people who have been going around, and our own brothers who have said that those of us who are espousing our restoration are extremists. It showed them that these people are not interested in having a conversation. So to me, that was the silver lining in that cloud.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because the people showed us that they don't want to hear anything about this thing, and they affirm on it. So if you were dreaming, please wake up from your dream, because you saw it. They left. The Prime Minister came, he stood there, and you could see his head almost in his notes, looking down in humiliation, in disgrace. And he actually showed us that, look, I am a toothless bulldog sitting in this place with no power. I can't do anything. And these guys are asking me to do something that I can't deliver. So that is the silver lining in all of that stuff, to tell our people that if you were hoping, if you were sitting on the fence and thinking that somehow these people can look at this thing and even discuss it, it is not there.
Okay. I wasn't going to touch that, but I think that you gave a very strong entrance into that. The thing is that the reason why these people are running away is because, like we've said, the Ambazonia was not given to La Republique. Ambazonia was given to the French. It's the same as the Southern Cameroons in the day were given to Nigerians to rule, but it was a British mandate. It was not a Nigerian mandate. Nigerians came in. The Nigerians caused a lot. The reason why we were with the people of La Republique is because of what the Nigerians were doing in our territory. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. It was a lesser of two evils.
It was a lesser of two evils. But what the Nigerians were doing is the Igbo tribes is that they came. They were our headmasters in school. They were our policemen. They were our teachers. They were the government in the place, and they were the government that was authorized by the British, because the British used Nigerians to govern us. Okay, and so if you're one of us, you come and touch a Nigerian man's clothes, you buy it. Okay, he'll make you buy it. So they did all of this, which was what turned us off from Nigeria. Okay, then the French, then the place was given over to France. Like I said, Charles de Gaulle said, the Southern Cameroons is a small gift from the Queen of England to the French. So the French turned around and asked La Republique, took them to govern the place for them. And that is why these people are running. And I told you that there was a secret agent in La Republique who called us after September 22nd and informed us that we are asking Biya what Biya cannot give. That they can get into a lot of agreements with us, but not to give Southern Cameroon, because they don't own Southern Cameroon. Mm-hmm. It's French property. And so when SDF is in the parliament singing, and these people are running, they're running because they cannot discuss it. Mm-hmm. You know, they cannot discuss it. Paul Biya cannot say anything because he cannot. What does he have to say? It is French property. Ambazonia is French, quote-unquote, property, but we have refused that we cannot be a little gift being passed around by any human being. And that is really the story of the Ambazonian people. That's what we are fighting. We are being treated like little gifts to be given by the British to France. No, we are human beings created by God with equal rights, and we have our own land, and we're going to defend that land. That's our argument. So these people who are going around talking about internal self-determination, you internal self-determining as a slave, it's like the slave in the plantation has internal self-determination, right? Mm-hmm. And the internal self-determination for a slave is to obey your master, cut the grass when they want you to. I was going to say other things, but I'm not going to say them on television. You know what I'm saying? But you do every single thing they want you to, including selling your children. When your son is grown, they call you and they'll call another person who needs a slave, mm-hmm. and say, "Do you want one?" And they go and auction. They'll go and auction them. We refuse that. So you are very correct that silver lining is to let our people. If you were a little confused about what is and what is not, I think what the SDF is doing and the reaction to them is clarifying. It should be clarifying what is in the offering for us in La Republique. You know, Dr. Anyangwe says we are really slaves of slaves, and that is why both the Nigerians and the people of La Republique who have come into Ambazonia have looked at us as an economic or job opportunities for themselves. And so the Nigerian comes, you know, if we were being ruled straight by Britain, right, they would have treated us the way they treated Nigeria. They would have built the infrastructure so that they can very effectively exploit the place. You know what I'm saying? But when the Nigerians came in, they used us to help themselves because they themselves are broke. The same with La Republique, and that's why they come and they are taking our businesses. They are buying our land for cheap. They are acting like expatriates in our land. That's what Francophones do in our land, right? So I don't know. We can spend time going through this, but we would have even been better off if we were colonized by the French directly or by the British directly. But they have been using these two neighbors to steal from us. And we need to stop it. We've stopped the Nigerians. Stopping the people of La Republique is the last fight we need to fight. So all of us should really come together and fight this last fight, because once we beat this last encroachment in our territory, we are free to, for the first time, for over 100 years, to pay attention on ourselves and our territory. You have anything to add to that part?
Yeah, so back to the SDF. My man Wiba was not there because he said he was not going. His people had asked him not to show up in Yaoundé. So, because I have told you people on this show that these people, they're too longer. They are too hungry. Because if they had listened to their people, they would have stayed back. First, they said they will not go to Yaoundé. Then they went to Yaoundé. And then they said they were not going to attend parliament. Then all of a sudden they showed up in parliament. Okay, if you showed up in parliament because you are so concerned about what has been happening to your constituents, when Kavaye Yege Jibril walked out of that parliament with all his other stooges and left you people sitting in that parliament, your head of parliamentary group would have taken to that rostrum and start debating the issues of the people of Ambazonia.
Yes, and pass some resolutions.
100%. Because they had left.
Yes.
So you people are lawmakers and you could have started that debate.
And make the law right there.
But they start there because it is all theater for them. It is theatrics, and they were enjoying themselves and commenting on how everybody has left.
Yes.
Because they are there to play theater and not to actually represent what the people's aspirations are.
Yes.
So...
yes.
You might say I was a member of the SDF at one point.
We all were.
And I left a long time ago.
Yes.
After Church Center, if you know what happened at Church Center with John Fundi. I left. That's when I left the SDF. So they are playing their games because they want to fill their pockets. And our people need to know that and be resolute about it. They don't represent us. They don't belong to us. And at some point, we are going to tell them that, and I've said it, they can stay in La Republique. They have that choice to be citizens of La Republique. But they are not going to use us as the pawns to make their political games and earn money for themselves and their families.
Yes, and they think that singing the Gokiwitaya in the Parliament of La Republique is some great accomplishment. It's not. Our people are already gone past the bar, and I was reading about. I need to, this. I was when I've been making some notes, and I want to read some of them because here's what I said, and I'm concluding this particular piece, and this is what I thought. I said, what SDF is doing, trying to make our issue the issues of La Republique's internal matters, because that's what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They're asking La Republique to give us something that La Republique doesn't have the right to do or don't have the power to do. And by doing that, you're trying to define us as an internal matter for La Republique. What the people of Ambazonia have been saying is that we are a separate country. There's no union between us and La Republique. And when you go sit in their parliament, you're asking Paul Biya to come and or the speaker of the parliament to do something or debate. You're trying to say our issue is an internal issue for La Republique, and you are not helping us when you're doing that, because you are defining us by what La Republique wants to define us. That's wrong. That's what I wrote here. And then I said, it is not. It is not. So we are not an internal matter for La Republique, and that is why the SDF will fail, and any internal self-determination solutions the French give them to remain exploiting our resources and killing our people directly and indirectly will not be acceptable by our people. So La Republique now can come and say, you know what? Let's finally talk about this thing. And let's talk about it by bringing Frundi, Monzo, and Bala, and let's do this internal self-determination thing. Just know that will fail, because what is happening now in our territory now will not stop. That's what I meant by that. I think you already said your last word on that. So let's come back to the IG now. So the question is, I think we basically painted what's happening in the territory now. So what should the IG be doing? What should the internal the government or Siseko be doing now? I know they know what they're doing, but you and I, we're not part of that. Let's speculate on what we think they should be doing.
I think the government needs to really be rallying the troops. And when I talk about rallying the troops, is our people are sensitized, but that sensitization has not translated into owning the struggle. And what I mean by that is doing things that are supposed to move the struggle forward. So the interim government of Mr. Ayub Tabe Siseko should be drumming the owning the struggle drums on every rooftop.
And as a government which I have set up as the president of the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, I'm asking all my secretaries of state to be on high alert. I have asked the Secretary of Economy and Finance to come out and speak to the people, to ask people to donate as they have donated in the past generously. We have closed Kapak. We have opened a new account for the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. We need your money because money makes the world go round. Money will take us to Buea, and we know we are getting to Buea. We want you to continue to donate generously for this restoration struggle.
We already have refugees that we are struggling with, so we are going to have more refugees. So people need to sit up. So he needs to be on every rooftop calling out the people, calling on our people who are still being so lackluster about this struggle, to step up and do what the struggle needs to be successful. So that is the first thing. We need to continue to build the coalitions with different countries, reaching out to countries, making sure that they understand. You see the journalists on BBC and all the other places, they still describe us as an Anglophone problem. I think it is time that the communication team and the government itself start telling these people, we are going to tell you who we are. You are not going to be the one to describe our problem, because it is our problem. It is not your problem. And we don't want you to describe us the way you are describing it that fits into what La Republique is saying, because we are a people. And we have a right to be a people. You are going to call me by the name that I want, not by the name that you want. And my name is Ambazonia.
I've also asked the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs to increase, to double, to quadruple his diplomatic offensive. I've appointed ambassadors to the regions of the world. I expect these people to go out there and to seek recognition of our nation. When the nations of the world recognize us, we would have our seat at the United Nations.
I really like those 2 points you raised. They're the same 2 points I had. That one, the government, the Ambazonian government should really don't pay attention to what the colonialists are doing, because what Paul Biya came and said is what they've been doing for the past 57 years. So that's, but our people need to be communicated to every day about what's going on, and so that they know that something is going on. Mm-hmm. And I think but it doesn't mean the government hasn't been doing. It's just that they're not reporting, because I see that they've really built a lot of capacity and momentum in terms of taking care of the refugees. Mm-hmm. So they're doing that. I think there are other departments that they're doing stuff with and building the capacity, but that needs to be communicated. And I think you made a very strong point that we shouldn't allow it. It's the same thing that I talked about Amnesty International. We shouldn't allow other people to come and tell our story, because they tell them halfway, because they're not feeling our pain. They don't even spend time to find out who we really are. We are Ambazonians, and we are being attacked not by La Republique. La Republique is just being used by the French, and so you need to define. First of all, people have never really asked the question: how is it that there's a French-speaking country that claims that an English population is part of their country, as though it was made by God? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If people really ask that question, they will realize that we are not part of their country, and there's nothing that brought us together to be part of their country. It was part of an international gymnastic that was actually not played correctly, which is really where our people come. When Bobga says, show us the act of union, if that game was played correctly, they really would have had an act of union. Mm-hmm. But they didn't play it correctly. They bungled it because they thought they really did not even have any respect for us. So they did not believe that there would be a day when we'll come asking for an act of union. But that day has come, because you know what? We're human beings, and we do grow, and we have grown, and technology has grown. We have a better way now of telling our story. In the past, we couldn't. You know what? Mm-hmm. Because Radio Boya was controlled, all the media, they controlled it. Mm-hmm. In fact, most of our struggle has moved on by us being able to tell our own story. So no, I think you have it. You have it well defined. I think our government needs to be talking to the people more, and needs to be a little more aggressive in telling people who are interested in our story how they should call us. They shouldn't allow people to call us Anglophones. We are not. And they shouldn't call us Northwest and Southwest of La Republique. We are not. We are Ambazonia.
There is no act of union between former British Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon. What that means is that Mr. Biya, following Mr. Ahijo, have been in occupation of our land for 56 years. What we have done on the 1st of October this year is restore that independence. We are asking Mr. Biya to take his forces out of our country. We have taken the destiny of our nation into our own hands. We are going to build our nation, and we urge the world to support us in that effort, because that is our right. With 8 million people, our nation is more populated than 94 countries that currently have seats at the United Nations. With a land surface of 43,000 square kilometers, we have a nation bigger in size than Switzerland, than Belgium and Holland. We know we have a place. Our seat is at the United Nations. And for those who misunderstand and say that we are seceding or we are separating, like they compare us to Catalan, I want the world to know we are not seceding, neither are we separating from the Republic of Cameroon. We are restoring our independence that was taken away from us in 1961.
If you don't have anything to add, I think I'm pretty much...
No, I always have something about the church.
Yes.
And the reason I have a problem with the church, not the problem, I am concerned, is because, there are basically two churches in La Republique. There is a church in La Republique du Cameroun, there is a Catholic church in La Republique du Cameroun, and there is a Catholic church in Ambazonia. Because you saw from October 1st, the communiques from the bishops in La Republique, the Bamenda Episcopal Conference,
yes,
and the communique from the bishops in La Republique.
Yes.
You saw that
there's a difference.
There was a difference, right? Yes. So that is the difference in the church, and the people in La Republique have successfully suppressed what was happening in the Bamenda Episcopal Conference, because if you look at it, the Bamenda Episcopal Conference have actually flipped, and they are actually doing the bidding of the church in La Republique du Cameroun. That said, I would like to commend the Bishop of Bamenda, His Lordship Cornelius Eswa, for reopening that hospital in Com. That is what you do. You don't deprive the people from the services that they need. And that, I don't think the church ever bought that piece of land, because in my village of Babang Ketungo, the land on which the church sits was given by my forefathers. So I am commending you for opening that hospital back so that the people of Com can have the services, and other people who travel to that hospital can have the services that they need. And just like other people, I am sure that you people saw the head of the church, His Holiness, the Pope, in Myanmar this week. He went to Myanmar and he did not talk about what the Rohingya people are experiencing in Myanmar.
Yes, I heard that.
And if the church believes that it stands and speaks for those who have no voice, once more the church led the people of the Rohingya people in Myanmar, just like it has let down the people of Ambazonia. When those people met the Pope in Bangladesh, he was apologetic and made a couple of statements, and his spokesperson said they did not want to expose the church in Myanmar to persecution and stuff like that. I think the church, the Bible tells us that people should not be afraid to be persecuted when they speak for Christ. So the church preferred to take the side of the oppressor and protect its interest, instead of standing up for the truth, standing up for the people of Rohingya, standing up for them, for their dignity and their humanity. Just like in Cameroon and in Ambazonia, the church is always looking out for its interests. They are going to do the bidding of La Republique du Cameroun, so they can make their money off the people, they can collect their arms, collect their school fees, rip off the people, and protect their interests. The church is always out looking out for itself. You, my fellow countryman, you have to look out for yourself, but still be a Christian. Thank you.